All right, Shalom. All praise and glory and honor goes to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Dash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. There's another edition of GMS News and Prophecy. I have an article here from the SimMissourian.com or the SoutheastMissourian.com, right? And this headline, Military Recruitment Increasingly Difficult. All right, this is dated Thursday, October 11, 2018. So it was this is past Thursday, a few days ago. And this statement here, this military recruitment is increasingly difficult, is online with biblical prophecy. All right, it's in line with the prophecy because from what we understand that there's going to be a draft. All right. Now the current situation right now in America is there are not a lot of people enlisting for the military. Okay, but when you go into the scriptures, it says that the military of America will be sent out. All right, away from the United States and to go into battle in the Middle East. Okay, so let me go ahead and get that prophecy here. All right, this is the book of Joel, the 2nd chapter, starting at verse 20. Okay, it says, but I will remove far off from you the northern army. We're just speaking about the army of the United States here in North America, but also as well as what's known as Northcom, okay, which is basically the different militaries, I believe, consisting between Mexico, Canada, and the United States, which form Northcom as a military group governing over the whole continent of North America. You also have AFRICOM as well. Okay. So this military is going to be driven out. Okay. It says, but I will remove far off from you the northern army and will drive him into a land barren and desolate. So right now, there's not many people signed up to join the military, but for this prophecy to take place, there must be either a large enrollment or there's going to be a draft. And we believe that there's going to be a draft. Okay? It says, but I will remove far off from you the northern army and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. This east sea would be the Persian Gulf, and the utmost sea would reach all the way up into the Mediterranean, which that whole area encompasses the Middle East. Okay, mainly Saudi Arabia. It's the largest country in that region. So it says, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. And that's talking about Esau, the so-called white man. He has done great things in the earth pertaining to wickedness. So his ill savor and his stink is going to be shown, meaning he's going to be destroyed, man. Okay? All the military is gathered over there in the Middle East. Okay? They're going to be destroyed by the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? But the main thing is this northern army here, okay, is going to be driven out from Babylon the Great into the Middle East. Okay, so let's get into this article. It says, when President Lincoln and Congress decided to draft young men for military service during the Civil War, the public reaction produced riots in several cities, and that same spirit, that Civil War spirit, that tension between different Americans, that's already bearing fruit or manifesting itself even today. Okay, you have a lot of people that are doing protests and riots against these wars that the U.S. is putting themselves in. Okay, so the same thing can happen today. It says, despite public opposition, the need for men to replace those killed or wounded meant that conscription would last as long as combat continued. The military draft ended when the Civil War ended. Okay? So they were constantly replacing bodies, man, constantly putting men into their war, which I believe, as far as casualties go, at least when I heard it years ago, as far as casualties go for the U.S. Military, it's the Civil War that had the most deaths among U.S. Army men in the Civil War, as opposed to the other world wars. Okay? So it says, there was no peacetime military draft, but war in Europe raised concerns that the United States could be threatened if the conflict continued. The draft began during World War I and ended when the war ended. Now, why is this article going into the draft and the spirit? Because we believe that there's going to be another draft to come, okay, in order to get the U.S. military involved in World War III. Because you got to understand that the other countries over there, all right, in the Middle East and further east are all allied, whether it be China, North Korea, Russia, Iran, all right, certain African countries, okay, Japan, Pakistan, India, all those countries are basically allied with the main superpower over there, which is Russia. So if any country from the West threatens that alliance, Russia and all them countries are going to come together to fight alongside each other. Meanwhile, certain countries in Europe, Israel, the state of Israel, is going to be left alone. So the United States will be forced to step in. So they're going to need military men. Okay? And that's prophecy as well, but I'm going to continue reading in this article. Okay? It says, it says the draft began during World War I and ended when the war ended. Okay, so there was a draft in all these U.S. military wars, man. And once the war was over, then that's when they stopped forcing men to go out into the war. So it says in 1940, conscription was begun again, although some changes had been instituted. Religious exemptions had been narrowed and the terms of service were lengthened. On December 5th, 1942, U.S. Army inductees' term of service was set to be the duration of the war plus 6 months. The Korean War began in June 1950 and ended with an armistice in 1953 and resulted in 1.5 million men drafted to military service. The draft was still in effect during the Cold War, and it was increased along with the increase in U.S. involvement in Vietnam. Of the 8,744,000 service members in the military between 1964 and 1975, 3,403,000 were deployed to Southeast Asia. The end of the war in Vietnam meant the end of the draft, and the United States Armed Forces became an all-volunteer force. All right? So once again, the draft ended when the war ended. It says, as the military made its recruitment goals, it raised the standards for enlistment. Military leaders were more than satisfied with the quality of the recruitments they were getting. Education levels were higher, criminal records were clean, and physical fitness levels were higher. Today, with increased employment opportunities and higher pay levels, the military is beginning to find it harder to meet its enlistment goals. So there's going to have to be another draft in order to take this Northern Army and remove them off into the Middle East, man. Okay? Or there's going to be some kind of event to happen which we believe is going to be another government created event to happen here on American soil, U.S. soil, to get more men, now women, and even homosexuals and lesbians, and to here in America, to be involved in the upcoming um, war over there in the Middle East. Okay, World War III. All right. So it says, today, with increased employment opportunities and higher pay levels, the military is beginning to find it harder to meet its enlistment goals. The Army misses annual recruitment goals by 6,500 soldiers for the first time since the War on Terror began. Standards for recruits are being lowered, and the military, we see standards. That's why you're seeing women can now join the military and be involved in combat. Same thing while they're allowing open gays to join the military, because the standards are lower, because they need more recruits. Okay, and this is because America is stretching itself thin. All right, it's the same thing that happened in ancient Rome. Okay, which is why when you look at prophecy, America is known as that fourth beast. Okay, the spiritual wing incarnate of the pagan Roman Empire. Okay, the same spirit that the ancient pagan Rome had is the same spirit that America has. Okay, same symbols and government structure and everything. Same military structure. Okay. All right. So they need more military men, but the standards are being lowered now. So it says standards for recruits are being lowered, and the military is looking at new recruiting methods, including social media. The question the Department of Defense must address is what it will do if recruitment levels continue to drop. I suspect there is not a politician in Washington who would dare suggest a return to the draft. Unless you're Trump. Okay? Unless you're Donald Trump. Donald J. Trump. Okay? All right? And that would be the thing that would definitely, change the face here in Babylon the Great, America. Okay, a draft. All right, and that's mainly it. Okay, but this military draft is coming, man. All right, now I'm gonna go into scriptures again. I'm gonna go to Joel the 3rd chapter, and I'm gonna read the prophecy, because these militaries, whether it be the U.S. or Russia or China or Iran, they're all going to gather together into the Middle East. So this is Joel 3:9. It says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles: prepare war, wake up the mighty men." All right, what does that mean? That means gather these men together for the military. Okay, recruit members into the military, and if enlistment is low, if recruitment is low, you create a draft. Okay, but this is the spirit and the will of the Lord. It says, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. All right, beat your plowshares and the swords, and your pruning hooks and the spears, let the weak say I'm strong. All right, and this is the first time in history that so-called once called third world countries, all right, have nuclear capability, whether it be India, Pakistan, China, North Korea, all right, because the only main two countries that had nuclear missiles, all right, or nuclear weapons was the United States and Russia. But now these other countries are now gaining nuclear ICBM ballistic missiles. Okay, all right, and this is because this is the time that this prophecy here is coming to pass. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Okay, even the angels of the Lord and Yahushua himself is going to come down and take part in this Third World War. Okay, the Third World War. All right, or the War of Armageddon. That's why all these countries are getting all this firepower, because this is, as they call it, the war to end all wars. All right. It says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit. Whose I? The Heavenly Father himself, Yahweh. All right, and the Son Yahweh Shai. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. So this is why the Lord is going to do this, because the wickedness of the so-called white man and the rest of these nations is great, man. So he's going to bring all these military, army men and navy men and air force men together, man. You know, yeah. So military recruitment is increasingly difficult, but hey, they shall be gathered. Thus saith Yahweh Basham Shai. So with that, all praise and glory goes to Yahweh Basham Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash, double unto the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect.